Every small town has its gems. One of Antigonish's gems is Andrew Murray, a local creative whirlwind whose passions include design, art, theater, and mental health advocacy. We recently went to visit Andrew in his new home.
I was fortunate enough to grow up here in Antigonish for many reasons, and with wonderful parents who were very supportive of all their children, myself included. And at an early age, I was very interested in artistic endeavors. And I think I was 10 or 11 or probably younger, I saw my first play. And it completely ignored the action of the play. I was fascinated by the sets and the costumes, and that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's pretty much what I have done. Through incredibly fortunate happenstances and coincidence, met the right people at the right time and was given incredible opportunities, and left home at 18 and to work in the theater, literally from my high school graduation party, literally got on a plane. When I left my high school graduation party, I went off to Stephenville, Newfoundland, and these two sketches were for the importance of being earnest. And I'm kind of amazed when I look at them when I was 17 or 16 or 17. It was a lot of fun. There's two people here. There's myself at 18. Wasn't I beautiful? On my first show at Neptune Theatre, the Apple Cart. And this actress, or actor as we call them now, you may or may not recognize her. She's now an MLA, Miss Lenore Zan. What do you want to be when you grow up? Or what are you going to do? And people didn't know. Well, I knew when I was 5 or 6 I was definitely going to be an artist, and then I narrowed it down to be a set designer and costume designer, and because of St. FX and Theatre Antigonish, I was apprenticing at 11. I designed my first set when I was 11 years old for the university, and I was recognized for that, and then I went on to Neptune Theatre, and then on to Stratford and various other theatres in Canada. Then I sort of became involved in film for a while. So then I went from film into television, which was very good for me because it was more theatrical than film. And somehow I ended up being Mr. Television Newsroom Designer. And I realized how theatrical news is. There's the fact, but there's still lighting, cameras, egos, actors, you know. It was theater. And I ended up working with all the networks at the same time. So this is a sketch I did for CTV News in Toronto, and they were in need of a new newsroom set. So I came across the studio itself, and actually these panels here had the most interesting plastic with dots, but they're actually carpet mats. Plastic, so when you put your rolling your chair on a carpet, an office chair, it slides easily. So they were quite thrilled that this entire glass look was, $1.99 each. They liked me there. I don't know why. So I was a little busy, and the networks didn't know I was working on the others' newsroom sets, so a little stressful. And then the stress was actually a reason why I came back to Antigonish in 2001. Just have a little rest and a break, and that's still going on. I will never forget, I think it was the 3rd, 4th month that I came to Antigonish. There was a seminar on depression, I guess. It was called something else. And I went, and there was a group of people, most of them I didn't know at that point. And Gladys put up a slide on the film projector, and it was called 101 Things a Depressed Person Does Not Want to Hear. I will give you a summary of some of them. Have a cup of tea. Go for a walk. Get a hobby. Meet a friend. See a movie. I was severely depressed and acting out very badly in those end of the years of my time in Toronto without really knowing why. I thought I was willing to accept the possibility that I had OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and went through a series of medications which had horrible side effects, which is unfortunate because it turns you off from continuing your therapy. But once I returned to Antigonish, I realized how ill I was. Then that's when I realized that something had to happen. I had 3 inpatient visits at St. Martha's. The last visit, finally they diagnosed me as being mildly bipolar. And at that point I had surrendered and I wanted to get well, and I knew there was something not working in my life. And it was very debilitating. My choice of self-medication was hiding. Some people drink when they're depressed or do drugs when they're depressed. My medication was to hide under the covers for days or weeks. And this was a marker in my life that I realized this is not good. Lying in bed, I had a king-size bed, and day 3, I really should get up and do something. I really should do something. I said, okay. So I rolled over several times to the other side of the bed and went, perfect, I've done something, and went back to sleep. So the team of doctors pretty much diagnosed me as having chronic but not severe depression, a touch of OCD, and mild bipolar. But those three things combined could be debilitating, especially if they hit at the same time, and hit without explanation, which is the problem, you know? So I got the right cocktail and got the right mix, and I'm very good at compliant with my medication, and it keeps me very stable. So I'm very grateful for that. If I was not given this gift, which I consider a gift, of creativity, I don't know if I'd be sitting here. Even as a child, and I should say, in retrospect, the last 6 months, I've been realizing I was a depressed child. So it's been going on a long time. It didn't just hit me overnight. And I think it's a part of my genetic makeup. What my creativity has done, particularly feeling strange, like a strange kid, it has given me unbelievable self-esteem, thus confidence, thus something to wake up and do. In 2000, it was my first recognition, 2001 actually, that things were bad with me, and doctors and friends said, you need to get some help. So I was at Mount Sinai Hospital, downtown Toronto, on the 9th floor, which would be the version of the 3rd floor here. And it was a particular day I was feeling really bad, and I think it was mostly like, what am I doing here kind of thing? What happened to me? And it just wasn't good. And we only had a payphone. The payphone rang, and I suddenly heard my name. So maybe it was my parents or something, so I said, hello? Yeah. Oh, hi, Teresa. Teresa was the producer that I worked with a lot of television shows. I said, oh, you're there? Yeah, okay, hold on a minute. I was holding. Okay, we're on speakerphone. And all of a sudden there was, congratulations, from the whole staff. And I'm like, what? And I was informed that I was nominated for a Gemini Award. It was a show called Comedy Now, and which I did for a few years. Now, that's a good pick-me-up. Good therapy. Getting an award is a good therapy. I deal with my depression if there's someone commissions me to do this or that. And the joy that brings another person, I said, I can't buy that. I cannot buy that therapy. My work helps me cope with my depression. And maybe in 10 years I look back and I'll look at something I've done. This morning, I thought today was an unusual day, but for a person in Antigonish. This morning I met with Father Donald McGilvery about repainting the cathedral and designing a new candle. It's all work related. And the people I meet that I wouldn't normally meet. What I'm saying is, in a couple of years, I'll look at something and go, wow, I remember doing that, and I was really down. But it doesn't show. So that's almost like a good sign. Now, if I looked at a painting and that was black and gray and just somber, I don't see myself doing that. I could, but I'd rather do something cheerful. So, it's supposed to be a joke. I don't know if many people get it. There's a black coach, and as the wife is asking the salesman next to her, does it come in red? And the husband is looking really exasperated. Like it does happen in modern days, but I doubt it did come in red. Like I said earlier, just today even, the activities I'm doing, I stop in my tracks and go, wow, I'm so fortunate to be doing these cool, neat things, none of which I'd be doing in Toronto. Most of that time would be spent trying to get through traffic. That sheet that Gladys had up, that should have been number one. If you all possible, move to Antigonish. That should have been number one. And then people would have agreed with that one. Depression and being out about that, my sexuality, being a gay man, that's fortunately not such a big deal. Well, sometimes it still is for other people. When I was a kid, I just thought I was a strange kid because I was artistic. But that worked into my favor because I was given self-esteem and confidence because I was very good at it. So my strangeness was explained in my head. So in my later teen years, I'm going, So that has never been a real issue for me in terms of my family or my friends or my work. And I'm lucky. Well, I'm the luckiest unlucky person I know. I was diagnosed with HIV when it wasn't even known. And one of the few people I know how, where, and who. It was a one-time thing. I was not reinfected. Plus, my genetic background on both sides of my family is a very strong, healthy group of people. But when you're 21 years old, which is 30 years ago, and you're told you're HIV positive. Actually, no, you weren't told you're HIV positive. You have AIDS, and you have about 2 or 3 years to live. If you're lucky, that affects your brain. I survived. I am a survivor. And if I hadn't come back to Antigonish, I don't know if I'd still be here. Just from my behavior and acting out and doing everything subconsciously or not to be destructive, while still pretending to be normal or healthy and fine. What gets me out of bed when I'm going through what I call one of my episodes is I have a responsibility to give and put out there the gifts from God or whoever or whatever gave me this. Like, for example, my mother will sometimes say, "How did you do that?" And I say, "Well, how did you knit this sock?" You know, everyone has their gifts. And some are very subtle. Some people are good bakers. I can't bake. So my gift happens to be a little more obvious, which gives the person more responsibility to use it. And that's why I get mad at myself if I'm lying in bed. I'm not doing myself or anyone else any good. I believe, like many people, being an advocate for early diagnosis of mental health in schools or children. I was one of them, and I didn't know. I mean, you couldn't even say the word depression when I was a kid, when we were kids. Sexuality in youth, it's still hard. It's better, but it's still hard. Of course, and with that, safe sex practices. It's not over. And creativity. And there's other Andrew Murrays out there who are struggling subconsciously at age 7 with their sexuality, or 8 or 9, and depression, who are thriving because they have amazing parents, but who help them with their sports, but particularly with me, art, fine art, photography, anything that's creative. that may help a child cope just day to day at that point in their lives to get through that rough period. And then, like myself, wow, if I didn't have that talent and was encouraged, I don't even get through high school.
Right.
And all these horrible teen suicides. Now, what are those all about? I bet you, some we will never know, and some do leave explanations. But those are precious lives that could be saved, or just stop the suffering. And I would like to help do that, or maybe there's a kid watching this. There's hope.